how does the matrix work? How does the simulation work? How do you switch timelines? Are certain events largely predetermined? Can you change them? Let's try and tackle this question. First of all, it's important to understand that the nature of reality, this reality, is probability based. Everything is a probability, and then the probability manifests into a certain concrete reality. So for example, the probability of the laws of gravity acting upon you are so great, at least right now. Wait until everyone's psychic abilities start to unlock. You'll have a lot more people levitating, but at least right now, the probability of the laws of gravity acting upon a physical body is so high that it makes it so difficult to overcome these probabilities and manifest a different reality, a different probability, which makes you fly, makes you levitate. And take the same thing, for example, walking on water. It's the same thing. The probability of you walking on water based on the current programs of the simulation are slim to none. But of course, Jesus did it. Now, how did Jesus do it? Because Jesus was in a different mind, body, spirit complex, which allowed him to perceive the reality differently, thus allowed him to manifest a whole different probability, thus allowing him to manifest a whole different concrete reality, the concrete reality being him walking on water. You see? So, everything is probability based. The reason why we can't fly right now, most of us, we can't move things with our mind, is because our mind, body, spirit complex, the programming of it is such that the probability of you being bound to the laws of gravity, which is the program, right, are so high. The probability of the probability of you not being able to move an object with your mind also is high due to the mind, body, spirit complex. Now, all of that's going to change in the next decade or two, because as the Ascension fully takes place, we're going to have an entire different world, an entire different earth, which means like the vibrations will support it. It will change the probability. For example, right now we're being bombarded by positive ETs with gamma waves. These gamma waves are ascending the consciousness. They're manipulating the probability of the simulation of the reality. You see? So it's all probability based. Once you understand that, then we can have a conversation. So let's have a conversation. The foundation of it is we're inside a probability based reality. So let's use several examples here. Example number one, the ascension process that is taking place right before our eyes right now. The probability of the ascension process taking place, of the earth graduating from 3D, moving to 4D, and then moving to 5D, is so high that you might as well call it predetermined, actually. And that's what cosmic cycles are. There's that yoga model that I shared with you guys, the 4 different cycles of yoga. There's also the model laid down by Ra in the Law of One, the evolution of consciousness. You might as well say it's predetermined that the earth is going to move to 4D and 5D. It's actually predetermined. The evolution of consciousness is predetermined from separation to oneness. It's totally predetermined, even for the negative beings. What happens for a negative 4 density entity is either they switch to positive or they go 5D negative, and then the maximum they can go is 6D, but then they have to switch, and eventually everyone makes it home. Everyone makes it back to the source, even the negative ETs, even the negative entities, even the most malevolent entities and beings. So it's predetermined. Let's agree that it's predetermined. The probability is already, it's so high that it's predetermined that consciousness ascends. Everything ascends, everything evolves. So, therefore, the ascension process of the earth is predetermined based on such high probability, similar to the high probability of the current programming of the simulation of the law of gravity. That's why the vast majority of humans cannot levitate. It's that high that the earth is going to ascend. Now, you have to also look at time differently to understand this. So, if you're ever playing chess with someone, I played so much chess growing up, I loved it. You know that at some point in the game, a lot of times well before you actually checkmate your mate, or your mate checkmates you, both of you come to an understanding that the game is over. And so many of the games that I played with my friends, chess games, we finished the game, we declared the winner before the checkmate moment even happened, because we both knew that that's it, it's game over. Like, we looked at the probability, we said that 5-6 moves down the line, I'm going to beat you or you're going to beat me. And a lot of times we both agreed to start a new game. And so if you're keeping track, all right, you won, it's 1-0 you, let's repeat again, and you put back the chess pieces and you play again. But there were times also where it was either a little ambiguous, although it was clear who's gonna win, or for the sake of it, one of us wanted to prolong the game. So instead of it taking 5-6 moves to checkmate and win, the other person's gonna prolong the game, is gonna do certain things, right? It's gonna move the pawn, your mate's gonna move his pawn all the way so that they can switch it with the queen, right? But they, like, both of you know that you already won. Your mate knows it, but he's gonna do it for the hell of it anyway, right? So it may take, instead of 5-6 moves for you to win the game, it's gonna take maybe 15, because your mate is gonna move all his pawn, he's gonna get it across, gonna get his queen, he's gonna make a little bit of progress with the queen, but he knows you're gonna kill his queen and you're gonna checkmate him and you're gonna kill the king. And that's that. So let's take the ascension process for example right now. That's unfolding literally right before our eyes. It's predetermined. It's done. The ascension you can say game over. It's game over. Now the other side, the other player, the dark forces, let's call them, for the sake of it. Let's call it, if you're looking at chess here, you have the white and the black. Let's call it the black here, just for the sake of convenience. The dark forces. They already know they lost. They already know it. But they're choosing to prolong the game. They're choosing to be annoying about it. Just like, your friend is being annoying by moving his pawn all the way to the end so he can switch it with a queen, so he can kill maybe a couple of your pawns or something, but knowing that you got him, you already got him. Same thing. The probability of the ascension is so high now, it's like it's game over pretty much. It really is game over. And as far as the positive ETs are concerned, the game is won already. You basically have to commit suicide. You would have to just take out your queen and your king and all your pieces that are placed strategically to lose the game. You'd have to make a tremendous error for the other person to win, and that's exactly how it is now. But it can be prolonged, so that's why some people predicted, like, the ascension is going to happen in early 2000s. It didn't happen. Or it's going to happen in 2012. There was several portals open, but it didn't happen at that full magnitude. Why? Timelines have changed because the dark forces have decided to prolong the game, fully knowing that they have lost already. And as a result, it's taking more time. You see? But it's already happening, like it's game over. It's the exact same thing, it's no different. Now, let's take another example. Let's say you and your soulmate, or you or your twin flame meeting. You come in the game, you and your soulmate or your twin flame, you both come in the game already having predetermined, already having decided that you're gonna meet at some point, and you would have already actually decided if you're gonna meet for a little bit of time, for a long time, you're gonna be partners, like for life. It's already determined, and the probability is so high that you might as well say that it's done. Like it's done. It's over. If you're watching this and you have a soulmate or you have a partner, a life partner, you're gonna meet your life partner. Believe me. But things happen along the game where decisions are made at a higher, your higher self, and the rest of the ET folks, you know, make a collective decision. For example, let's say you and your soulmate were supposed to meet. Let's give you an example here. Let's say you and your soulmate were supposed to meet in 2013. But something happened, your soul, you needed to learn certain lessons or be certain places, or your soulmate needed to be certain places. So the decision comes from your higher self, from her higher self, his higher self, and the rest of the folks involved in this. And the decision comes and says, let's delay it by three years. So instead of checkmating, right, let's just use the example, instead of it happening now, it's 3 moves later. So 3 years later, you meet. But you're gonna meet, you're already gonna meet. You see? So, many things, especially the big things in your life, are already predetermined, and there isn't much you can do about it. This is the concept of surrender. This is where the concept of surrender comes in. This is where the concept of acceptance comes in, accepting one's fate. Why? Where is the acceptance coming from? The acceptance is coming from the knowledge that you and all your other yous, the higher you, the higher self, already chose certain things, certain life path, and you have to accept it because you chose it. But your conscious mind, your egoic self, because the perception is so limited, you may say, well, why did this happen? Why was I born into an abusive family? Why did my dad beat me up? Why did my mom abandon me? Why did this happen? Why did I grow up in the ghetto? Why did I grow up around violence? It's not fair, man. It's not fair. And the acceptance is, no, you already made the choice, because you look at the timelines. Because when your higher self looks at things, it's beyond time. It's able to look at past, present, and future, just like you're looking at from a balcony and you're able to see everything. You're able to go, well, there's gonna be a car accident right there. You know, because you see 2 cars coming in, and then you can see it, but they can't. So your higher self, when you decided to take on a birth, you looked and you said, I see. And you looked at all the different probabilities. So when, say, you and your soulmate decide to meet, you both pick certain timelines where the probability of you meeting is so high that even if things change along the line, and they almost always do, at some point you'll meet. And then things are, you know, different choices from higher self. It sort of takes on different turns, different decisions are made to make that inevitable event that is going to take place in your life happen. That, let it be meeting a soulmate, a twin flame, a life partner, or you know, getting a certain, having a certain career path, whatever it is. You already made the big choices, and largely speaking, most of your life is predetermined. And I don't see it any other way. Most predetermined, but who determined it? You determined it, because you looked at all the different possibilities and all the different timelines and everything. When you made the choice to incarnate here, you said, well, I'm going to choose a particular vehicle because my mission is to be a speaker. So I'm going to choose a particular vehicle in a particular time space point in the game that is going to support the inevitable outcome of me being a speaker. There's an example, right? And etc. So you make all these different decisions, and you look and you say, I'm gonna choose this particular thing. You don't choose anything by accident. Your higher self is extremely intelligent. So you're choosing things, you're seeing, what is my main mission? What do I want to accomplish here? What are the lessons I want to learn? And you choose it, and you pick a certain environment, a certain country. I'm talking about at least a conscious reincarnation. A lot of people that are, you know, especially the 3D human souls, it's really weird for them. It's almost like they don't choose these things. Their karma just propels them to the next birth. I'm talking about a conscious reincarnation here, a conscious incarnation, let's say. For a lot of humans, it's not conscious. A lot of it just happens randomly. But if you have picked a conscious incarnation, then you have deliberately picked all these different things, you see? So not everybody's actually making these choices based on pure choice, in the sense that I'm going to choose this because I want to accomplish this. Why most people don't really have a sense of mission. You know, because they didn't really come here for a mission. Their karma propelled them here, and here they are. Tick, 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 right? in the cycle, in this human farm that the reptilians have created now, and it trapped a lot of humans in it. 25,000 cycles. This last one has been largely dominated by the reptilians. You see? So, but I'm talking about if you pick the conscious incarnation, and a lot of you guys watching have picked the conscious incarnation. So, everything is probability based, you see. And again, largely speaking, the big events in your life, and most events for that matter, are largely predetermined. And things, yes, plans are revised, but the big events do often happen because the probability is just so high. But there are exceptions, just like there are exceptional mind, body, spirit complexes alive or have lived that can levitate. There are exceptions. You may choose, something suddenly might happen and you decide to exit the game. And so even though you agreed to meet your soulmate, etc., it's not happening. Or you chose a certain career path because you decided you either left your body consciously or you committed suicide or whatever. So when these things do happen, just like we have occasional monks that can levitate, you see, the same thing. Occasionally, the highest probability does not manifest for something, again, because you could still lose the chess game, even if you're gonna win it 6 moves ahead, if you make like tremendous errors. And sometimes the other player decides to prolong the game because they're hoping that you would make a really big error, and they can capitalize on it. So your friend might decide to move his pawn and get the queen instead, all the way through the board and get the queen, because he's just hoping that you would make an absolutely tremendous error that would change the probability tremendously of you winning. It would change it, it would shake it up, and then maybe now your friend has a chance to win. You see? And that's why now the dark forces, the powers that be, are choosing to prolong the game. They're making their moves. They unleash this coronavirus. They're trying to roll out 5G. They're trying to do all these things. They want to push the vaccines now, but it's doomed for failure, and they know it actually. But they're hoping that the other side, the light side right now, makes a tremendous error that may sway the probability right now of the ascension, and they may now have a better chance of winning, a better chance of consolidating their power and their control and actually taking over the planet and halting the ascension process, you see? So the concept of acceptance then comes from this knowing that you have chosen most of your life circumstances. You already have chosen that. You have chosen to be abused, to have abusive upbringing. You have chosen to be brought in a certain country that is maybe extra religious, or you chose certain trauma so you could heal yourself, so you could become a healer, etc. And so then the acceptance is like, all right, that's where you surrender and you just flow with the Tao. If you flow with the Tao, because if you already chose these things, then you actually want them to happen. So you're sort of moving joyfully all throughout the game. Okay, you could change the probability. If you're like a super adept meditator, then you have a lot of power to change the reality at will. All of us now in this next decade, because the ascension process and the gamma waves and all the frequencies that are going to be ascending the planet, we're going to unlock a lot of our psychic powers, and then we're going to be able to have more of a say. We're going to be able to manipulate some of these probabilities a lot more, you see? So the probability of you moving an object with your mind, suddenly it's like with the new ascension process, it's so much easier. It's so much easier. But then I still see that the biggest events in your life, like meeting a soulmate, or meeting a certain person that's important, or a certain career path, that's, I think, has been determined to a great extent, and you should be happy about that, because you want that to happen. You want to meet that person. You want that person specifically, not what your conscious mind thinks. You may be like, but I want a person like that, but no, you want to meet that person. You want to have that career path. You want all these things. So we're creators. We're more like co-creators, and the more of our powers are activated, the more strands of our DNA are activated, we're going to have more activation. We're already going through the process. Then the more of a say you have. But then the nice thing is, in that state, you're so benevolent and loving that you may look at, say, a mountain and have such great, Jesus said, for example, had ye but faith, you can move mountains. But Jesus never moved mountains, nor will he ever try. Why is that? Because he looks at the mountains, and from that high level of consciousness, looks at how perfect the mountain is and says, so perfect, why would I change it? Even though he could. He could move the mountain, but why would he? So it's like such a paradox, because you're given all these powers when you have enough benevolence, you've reached a certain level of consciousness where you only intervene and change a certain probability if it's absolutely necessary. You wouldn't just look at trees and be like, well, I'm just gonna start a wildfire, or I'm gonna move that mountain, because you understand at such a high consciousness that if I move it, it's gonna disturb the ecosystem, and why would I do that? I love everything, I am everything, you see what I'm saying? So it's like a paradox. You begin to gain these powers when you have enough maturity not to abuse them, to actually basically become the total manifester, a total creator, kind of like what, Jesus, for example. Like you could walk on water, you could move a mountain if you want to. You could start a wildfire if you want to. You could do anything pretty much, but at that level of maturity, you would only intervene if it's super necessary. And Jesus had to walk on water because the people's minds were so dense. He had to, do instantaneous healing on people just to show, you see, etc. So it's really a fun paradox to play with, is you can change your timelines and completely alter the probability at will, however you want, but only when you have enough maturity that you will, in most cases, don't even want to do it anyway. See the paradox? It's like you're given the powers when you no longer want to use them. It's such a fun paradox. It really boggles your mind when you see it. You're given these powers only when you're least likely to use them, actually, and you will only use them when necessary and sparingly, actually. Until then, you accept the fate, you chose it already at a higher level, accept that things are largely predetermined, and flow with the Tao. That's the best thing you can do. Flow with the Tao. Acceptance is a very high vibration because it implies that you have accepted the fate that you have chosen for yourself. And as your consciousness ascends, you will be given more powers, but you will be given more maturity to not abuse them. This was a fun video to make. Thank you guys for your support. If you'd like to support us on Patreon or PayPal, you can do so down below in the comments, in the description, sorry. There are links where you could declare your support, a couple of bucks a month, or a one-time donation. I love you guys. I appreciate everybody who supported. It all goes to the Off-Grid Project and Instagram. You can add me there if you'd like. And until next time, may the Force be with you.